Say the line Squirrel Jack. Say the line Squirrel Jack. Say it.
This guy's nuts!
When thinking of outstanding horror games in recent memory, I always think of one game in particular. A game where you're one of the last people in the galaxy and submerged under an ocean of blood on one of the only remaining celestial bodies. Armed with a map, controls, and a camera to take pictures with, you have to catalog 10 points of interest, where the only way to see what's in front of you is a slow processing camera. The game I'm describing is Iron Lung, an hour-long horror experience. The fear I felt while playing Iron Lung was just at the peak of what I could tolerate before I would quit before the actual scary stuff happened. It builds up tension so well, all for one big release at the end. It's so good. But if I were to make a video about Iron Lung, I would be the most unoriginal creator for a brief second before the next guy made a video about Iron Lung. The creator of Iron Lung, David Szymanski, is no one-trick pony. No, well, you'll see in like 30 minutes. I wanted to make a video on another project of Szymanski's, that being Squirrel Stapler. Unlike Iron Lung, there's only one video, that being Power Packs, and I only watched half of it, so I'll only be stealing half of the video. I'm not a huge expert on David Szymanski's games, but I do know they tend to stray towards the serious and eldritch. But as part of a small collection of horror games known as the Dread X Collection, Squirrel Stapler strayed towards the sillier and absurdist.
Oh my god, I love this screen. You are sleeping.
But still a bit eldritch. And God is the game absurd. So before I spoil anything, let's get into it. You wake up on a pad laying on the floor. Right in front of the pad is a bucket full of what seems to be wood. If you take a look to the right, you're met with your lovely wife. She does seem to be a bit under the weather. We came here to get away from it all, so that our love might blossom. But our love has not blossomed. Look at my beloved. The flies have made her ugly and rotten. I wish she were beautiful, like the squirrels of the wood. And so, I will cover her in the squirrels of the wood. You go down the spiraling hall, and on your right you find a room with boxes around the walls, and in the center, a summoning circle with a floating letter above it. We'll be checking those letters out later. If you go further down the hall and take a left, you'll be greeted by the dining room. Real simple, doesn't even have a kitchen. There's no stove. What food are you eating, dude? And going further down the hall, you will see the exit, with big red text written in blood. In 5 days, God is coming. Exiting the cabin, you go into a big field. It's very colorful, contrasting the darkness of the cabin. The mechanics for hunting the squirrels are simple, fun, and maybe a bit flawed. It has all the staples of a good hunting game. You have to sneak up on the squirrels. They can both see you and hear you, and if they catch you, they start running. To get around this, you need to use your trusty HUD elements telling you your visibility and sound levels. Well, not really. Here's the flawed part of the gameplay. When squirrels run away, they only run away so far before stopping. By that, I mean they run 10 feet before taking a little nap, which means you can do this. I couldn't chase a squirrel in real life with my 2 legs, let alone my dog who has 4 of those things. This is not game ruining, but it feels a bit weird to be sneaky and crouching around when there is no punishment for being as loud as possible. This does get remedied on day 3, but this does persist for a good chunk of the game. The map that you'll be exploring for the next 5 days strikes this near perfect balance of being a nice empty space to hunt squirrels and having enough points of interest to keep you exploring the map each day. There's a good amount of stuff to do, like how each day in a secluded spot on the map and in your house, you can find 2 sets of notes that change each day and tell stories. We'll get to those in a minute. You can also find squirrel facts littered around the map, like squirrels can sometimes run up to 20 miles per hour, and squirrels can debone a human male in under 3 hours. You know, some real fun facts. You can also find geocaches. One spawns each day and is marked on the map for you. If you collect all of them in one playthrough, you unlock Big Squirrel Mode. It's exactly what it sounds like. I will add, it is really funny to see the big squirrels displayed on your beautiful wife. And one last thing, there's ammo and health pickups littered throughout the map. They never go away, in fact you don't even pick them up really, they just stay there. They're scarce and far away from each other, but it incentivizes you to memorize the locations of the pickups. As you'll see, you're gonna need these. The first day is really tame. It's just introducing the premise and showing you the gameplay loop. After you're done hunting your 5 squirrels, you take them into the cabin, make your way down the shadowy hallways, and approach your wife, and staple the squirrels to her. You look to your left and fall asleep. This screen is my desktop wallpaper. Waking up the next day, you go down the hallway, taking a right into the summoning circle room. The notes are verses from a book known as the Book of the Grove, chapter 4 to be exact. Verse 1, saith the goat of the wood, thou shalt not staple squirrels. Verse 2, for the bushy tail is righteous and the all-mother sight, and the chattering voice divine. Should that which is divine be adhered to that which is not divine? By no means. Verse 3. Rather like the righteous squirrel, the wise man stores his nuts for the proper time, but the faithless man has no nuts to store. Verse 4. In this way the squirrel is good, and the lobster is bad. Wherefore squirrels may die, so that squirrels may live, just as lobsters live, so that lobsters may die. Verse 5. And I say unto you, in those final days the grove will bend in agonized worship, and the nutless man will be judged with his own industrial penetration and godless adhesion, so the stapler will become the stapled. You play as the nutless and the faithless man. The final words of the book, the stapler will become the stapled, is brought up again in another part of the game. Well, technically outside of it. You get an achievement if you die. The stapler becomes the stapled. We're going against the orders of God here. And we're gonna be punished for it. With a reminder that God is coming, you step outside. To your left is poison grass, and some squirrels were dumb enough to eat it. So you get some freebie squirrels. Hell yeah. On screen it says, today I must hunt the big squirrel. You have to hunt down a big squirrel every day as part of the main objective. You can do a squirrel call with the F key and the big squirrel call back. This is your only way of hunting it down unless you stumble across it by accident. One problem though, at least once per playthrough I had to restart the game because I scared off the big squirrel and it just disappeared off the map. I'd assume this isn't intentional, but I hope that gets fixed because you have to restart the entire day when this happens. Another new addition on this day are ghost squirrels. They wander around the map like normal squirrels, but unlike normal squirrels, when they spot you, they don't run away. Rather, they run towards you and deal a little bit of damage. After getting all your squirrels and one big squirrel, you go back to the cabin and to your magnificent wife. But now there's a note there. I don't want squirrels. I want skin. Give me back my skin, or give me yours instead. You know when a Super Smash Bros. Character gets announced, and is a character like everyone has wanted, but then they become playable and they suck and everyone hates them? Fans don't understand what they want, so that's why you gotta give your awesome wife more squirrels. On day 3 you walk outside and are greeted by this message. Something was scratching on the windows last night. I should look for tracks. You look to get the squirrels from the poison grass, you're met by giant tracks. These are from squirrel bears, our main threat for the rest of the game. They work just like ghost squirrels, but they're much faster, and if they get to you, most of your health disappears. These guys create a really tense atmosphere. You want to hunt squirrels, but if you're too close to a squirrel bear, you're boned. It makes every shot you take so stressful in a really good way. On top of that, if you already have a bit of your health gone from either the ghost or another squirrel bear, you better start running for your life and hope you find a health pickup. And just like that, we have our complete gameplay loop. Nothing else is added. This is exactly what the game is going to be for the next 2 days. After grabbing today's geocache and going back to the cabin, she's gone. Your fantastic wife is gone. You backtrack through your house and find your amazing wife eating at the dining table. I guess she was hungry. After giving her more squirrels, you go to bed, ready for day 4. Day 4 is exactly the same as day 3. Seriously, I prepared a video to show you all the differences between them. So since nothing is different, let's go over some stuff I forgot to mention. On top of the ammo and health pickups, there's also a third pickup, energy drinks. They increase your speed so you can zoom around the map. They're great for running away from squirrel bears, and just in general are very useful for going places. If you go to the north wall of the map and go east, eventually you'll find the Shady Shack, where you can commit sins to increase your score. Score doesn't do anything, but the Shady Shack's cool. Oh, there's your perfect wife. She just wanted to say hi. If you go to one of the top corners of the map, you'll find a small building with antennas on top. Right next to it are another series of notes chronicling someone out in the woods sharing paranormal phenomenon to whoever they work with. Report 1. Nothing of note to report. Some marginal abnormalities in readings that went away once it recalibrated. Some odd noises during the night, probably squirrels. Overall, everything is pretty quiet. Report 2. Small abnormal readings still occurring with odd regularity. Recalibrating always fixes them, but they come back the next day. I also keep finding dead squirrels outside my door. Looks like maybe an animal is leaving them, but I'm noting it as per my instructions. Report 3. There's something in the woods here that we didn't expect. I keep finding tracks, and I hear it at night, moving through the foliage and scratching on the concrete, and in the morning there's squirrels outside my door, with their limbs all pulled off and their heads twisted around, dozens of them. Requesting a call for instructions on how to proceed. Report 4. It's in the walls now, in the concrete, looking for my brain. Can't find it because my brain is inside my skull, but it will. It will peel away skin and bone to get inside. When my brain is taken, I will come for you. I will break you open. I will take yours instead. I'm in the shadows now. I am seeing you cower. You're already stretched apart into pieces. Your head is already twisted off the spine. Report 5. Please disregard previous reports. Everything is quiet. Believe it or not, I think we're seeing the hunter's descent into madness. The hunter worked in the woods when suddenly they started experiencing weird stuff involving squirrels. Did it really happen? Maybe. It could have also been hallucination because the hunter is insane. After going fully off the deep end, the hunter kills the person he's working with, and that is our stunning wife. Note the line, your head is already twisted off the spine. Cross-examining this to the wife, yep, that thing's gone. Going into the cabin one more time, everything is normal, like how it was on the first day. You staple the final squirrels to your wifey, and you go to bed, knowing that tomorrow, God is coming. The 5th day is very straightforward. You do all the daily tasks like your geocaches and notes, and hunt squirrels. But when you get that last squirrel, this happens. Countdown starts. About a minute into the countdown, the music starts. And when the countdown hits 0, you turn around and look behind you. That right there, folks, was Squirrel Stapler, a game by David Szymanski. What does it all mean? Well, I don't know. It feels like we're missing a crucial piece of the puzzle, and I don't get it. It might just mean nothing. It might be hidden in the game files. It could just be a piece of surreal and absurdist horror. Nah, I'm just messing around. I intentionally left out something because it explains everything. If you go into the dead center of the map, and go into a little room next to the radio tower, there's another set of notes. Once there was a lonely artist who lived by himself in the woods. Desiring to ease his loneliness, he saved his meager earnings and purchased a fine paintbrush crafted from the hair of a beautiful woman. The artist loved his paintbrush so much that he used it to paint the woman who had given her hair for his creation, as he imagined she must look. He was then informed that due to a terrible mix-up, the hair had actually come from a wild boar. The artist was inconsolable and spent his days weeping and taking his portrait on long walks in the rain. On one of those walks, he encountered an old woman who said, "Ah, young man, I can see the reason for your despair. Come with me." For a few pennies, she said, his treasure painting could be brought to life. The artist was overjoyed and the spell was cast. Only then did he remember that he had only painted the woman from the waist up. The newly created half-woman screamed and wailed, clawing her way in circles around the room as blood poured from the bottom of her torso and entrails flopped around in tangles. The artist sobbed and looked to the old woman who was examining the pennies he'd given her, unfazed. She caught his gaze, shrugged and said, "I reserve a special spell for these circumstances." She pointed to an axe mounted on the wall. The artist lifted the axe, tears streaming down his face. The half-woman continued to scream and claw. He brought the axe down. Her left arm rolled across the floor, and still she screamed and writhed. He brought it down again, separating her skull into two parts, and somehow still she screamed. Again the axe came down, and again and again and again, until she screamed no more. The artist's ears rang as he turned to the old woman and said, "What is this unspeakable horror that you have brought onto me? How can I ever escape what has been done here? What penny spell can you cast to conjure good from this?" And the old woman examined the bloody mess and said, "Well, young man, this will make a mighty fine stew." And so they made a steam from the remains. But it was poison, and they both died. Art will eventually destroy the artist. The stapler will become the stapled. If we take an educated guess and assume the artist is the hunter and the painting is the wife, it becomes pretty easy to interpret the events. So from the beginning, two people worked out in the woods. Judging by the need to write everything down and report everything, we can only assume that they were some sort of nature researcher. One of the researchers starts seeing paranormal activity involving squirrels in the forest, and over the course of 5 days, went insane and brutally killed the other researcher. Regretting what they've done, they go on a mission to make the other researcher beautiful again, through his obsession with the squirrels of the forest. This leads to God not liking what they're doing, and making the forest progressively more aggressive until the 5th day, when he comes down to stop it. Squirrel Stapler is cool. Okay, I do have some problems with it. The gameplay loop is really cool, but it does get stale. They add in features the first 3 days, but then days 4 and 5 are just day 3 again with some added scares. And also the numbers of squirrels you kill never changes, it never increases, which makes it feel even more the same. Take that criticism with a grain of salt though. I did play the game like 6 times while making this, and this game is only supposed to be played once. So I might be a little crybaby right now. Also the ending I really just wish had more. Something felt like it was missing. And also it's the exact same ending as Iron Lung, down to the turnaround and everything, so it felt really odd. Don't get me wrong, Squirrel Stapler is really fun, and I had a blast playing it on my first playthrough. A little less on my 6th, but you're only supposed to play it once. That's all I have to say. Go play Squirrel Stapler. Oh, I just spoiled everything. Go play Iron Lung.